It is that time for my response to a tweet. Yes, that's my response to a tweet. And today's tweet says, Mr. Tact, what is it going to take to get the kind of help we need in government? What is it going to take to get the kind of help we need in government? Well, here's my response to that tweet. What puts me in the mindset is, if you're blessed to know your grandparents, and blessed to see somebody else's grandparents, it's something about grandparents that's like kind of interesting. They've been together for 50 years or plus, or a long time, to the point to where they can finish each other's sentences. Their arguments sound real funny because, it's got a lot of history behind it. A lot of different undertones and overtones that comes with their relationship because they've been together so long. And, the thing that your grandfather does that frustrates the heck out of you, your grandmother, she said, that's just what John does. John does that. He's been doing it for years. I'm used to it. And things like that. And, and also, you got those kind of grandparents that they don't even really sleep in the same bed. They got separate beds. My grandparents was like that as they got older. They couldn't even stand to be in the same bed with each other, But the bigger thing about your grandparents is they're stuck in their ways. They're so stuck in their ways. They know all the recipes. They know all the home remedies. They know all those things. And so your grandparents, they have that nostalgic place in their own mind and also in yours. They're old. They're retired. They didn't put in their work. Your dad was there your granddad was there when the Model T Ford was created. It's just that they got a lot of history, a lot of wisdom, but they're very cute. They're very cute. They say that you leave out of this world the same way you came in a diaper, in a fetal position, cranky, wondering somebody can understand your cries, and your grandparents represent that. And then that could be a mixed signal. It can be a mixed feeling. But what's happening in our government is we're looking at our grandparents. They're too old. We can't get the help we need from them because they need help. They're too old. The incumbency is not a good thing for our congressmen. Being old and being our grandparents is not a good thing when you're making laws, when you got to keep up with technology, when you got to keep up with the Jones, when things are just constantly evolving real fast. See, the older you get, the slower you process things. Things got to slow down for you. So it works for your grandparents to be stuck in their ways. But it don't work in government. We are dealing with a government that is way too old. They're way too old. They're way too stuck. The leadership is way too stuck in their ways. They have been compromised probably 15, 20 years ago. And that familiarity that you have for your grandparents, that should not translate over into your government official. And since you're ask your grandparents to give up their driver's license because they don't drive right. They're going to fight you tooth and nail. They got false teeth so they can take their teeth out and throw them at you and bite you from across the room. Ask to take away the things that they're accustomed to having. Like I said, like driver's license or that independence and stuff like this. They fight you to keep that stuff. And it's not good for them and it's not good for the household. That's what's happening when you don't have term limits. And when you try to enact them, it's like asking the old person to give up their driver's license. You're asking them to vote on their own retirement, per se, or the term limits that they should have so that the country can stay fresh with fresh ideas. Right now, things are happening to us so fast and so furious that these old people can't keep up. And so to get our government to help us, they might really not see that there's anything wrong. Just like your grandparents do when their great grandchild comes and say something. What do they say? Yeah, everything is all right. Everything is all right. That might work at the house with your grandparents, but that don't work in our government. Everything is not all right. These old people can't keep up with ISIS. They can't keep up with China, basically breaking into our computers, hacking us. They can't keep up with Russia. These old people can't keep up. Mitch McConnell is way too old to be in the leadership. Haven't you seen him? I'm telling you, he looks like a cross between a snail and a turtle. He looks like a snurtle. I mean, he's an old dude. He's got them old Kentucky coal mine ways. And we need some fresh blood in there. And that's why this outsider thing is really, really resonating with the American people. We're in the outsider mode. Why? Because we got the millennials. They're the younger folk. The millennials feel like outsiders. Why? Because the old folk in the Congress and the Senate, they're keeping the young folk on the outside. They don't feel like they're a part. They don't think that their grandparents in the Congress and Senate is thinking about what they're complaining about. We don't look like these old people are thinking about the young people's future. They're running the debt up. See, when the debt and the deficit is the way that it is, you can't convince a young person that their future is going to be safe. You can't convince them of that. We're kicking cans down the road too much. We got our grandparents in the Senate, and you don't want your grandparents necessarily babysitting your children. Your grandparents get to that point to where you don't think that they can watch your children, especially if your children is more energetic than you was. They can't keep up. If your grandparents got to ask your grandchild on how to turn the microwave on, they're too old to be babysitting your child. And this is what's happening in our government. What is it going to take to get the kind of help we need? We're going to have to get rid of all of the incumbents. And the reason why we're going to have to get rid of all the incumbents is because, one, the leadership is way too old, and the other people don't know how to deal with the elderly. So the young people in Congress, they don't know how to deal with the elderly people in Congress. The elderly people keeps fighting and biting the younger people in Congress. So if you're an incumbent, we have to remove you because you don't know how to handle the leadership. The leadership is fussing and fighting and biting people, and they crapping all over the place, and they got these funky diapers and all these kind of things. And look at the state of our country. Our country is just our country is jacked up like a non-concerned nursing home. We have the geriatric crew trying to run technology, and they don't have a clue what to do. They don't know how to talk to the people. They don't know how to be inclusive. It's the old man club. It's the old woman club. Have you seen the ages of all the leadership on both sides? Harry Reid, all of them are over 70. All of them. Still trying to what? Do what? Help us fight ISIS? And there's nothing worse in the world than an old liberal. See, you know how they say a church with no youth has no growth. Our country has no youth, and look at how we're struggling to grow. Hey, way too old. We got to get rid of them. We got to get rid of them, and we have to look at this outsider thing and take it serious. Hey, I'm Phil Williams, and that's my response to a tweet on the Phil Williams Show.